Hello students, hope you all well. This video is a continuation of our first video. In the previous video we have seen lesson 1 from page 11 to 14. In this video we will be looking at page 15 to 17. Lesson 1 part 2 explanation of page 15 to 17. All of you take your English book along with the classwork note and homework note. I hope you all have done your homeworks. So all of you take it. Now let's enter into our video. In previous video we have seen a story of a little prince and a king. Here I'll read out a summary of part 1. The little prince visits the series of asteroids in order to gain knowledge. As we know the story, I'll just read out. The prince enters the first asteroid. The first asteroid was inhabited by a king. The king felt very happy when he saw the prince and said, "Here is a subject." Subject means a common man. The prince said that, "You didn't see me before, and how could you recognize me?" The king said that the world is simplified for kings. To them all men are subjects. The prince was tired, came along a journey, so he yawned. The king considered that it is contrary to etiquette to yawn in presence of a king. It is not a good manners to yawn in front of a king. Later the king allowed the prince to yawn. Understanding his situation, the king allowed. This time the prince was abashed. He was embarrassed. The king claims that his orders were reasonable. Then the prince sat down and wondered. The planet was tiny. Over what could this king really rule? The king replied, "He rules over everything." Over everything? The prince marveled. He was surprised and requested the king to order the sun to set. Okay. So now the little prince, he was missing his planet where he came from. He was missing it, and now he asked the king to order the sun to set. He wants to see the sun to set. The king replied, "You shall wait until the conditions are favorable." Okay, எல்லாம் சாதகமாகிறது வரை நீ வெயிட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு அந்த கிங் சொல்றார். So let's now all of you open your book to page number 15. We'll continue our class, page number 15. All of you read with me and listen carefully. "When will be that?" inquired the little prince. Okay, now the prince is asking, அது எப்போது அது நடக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்குறாரு. When the sun will set? Replied the king, and before saying anything else he consulted a bulgy almanac. Okay, so what is meant by almanac? It is a yearbook which gives an astronomical data. Okay, in the word bank you can see a calendar that gives information about the sun, moon and tides for every day of the year. Okay, almanac means nothing but it is a calendar which gives an astronomical data. Okay, in Tamil if we say, it is meant by panchangam. When the sun will set, when the sun will rise, when the sun will set, it will give all the informations. Okay, so he's consulting, he was just checking that calendar, and the king says, that will be about that will be this evening about 20 minutes to 8. Okay, அது இன்னைக்கு மாலை 8 மணி 20 நிமிஷத்துக்கு தான் அது வந்து மறையும் அப்படின்னு சொல்றாரு. And you will see how well I am obeyed, the king replied. Now the little prince yawned. He was regretting his lost sunset, and then too he was already beginning to be little bored. Okay, now again the prince was feeling so bored because nobody was there in the planet, only the king was there, and the little prince is getting bored, and now he was very regretting. He was feeling sad and he got disappointed that he lost the sunset. Again now he was saying, "I have nothing more to do here," he said to the king. "So I shall set out on my way again. Okay, so now he was asking the king, there is no work that I have to do here, so I am leaving. I am just going to leave this planet. Do not go, said the king, who was very proud of having a subject. Now there is a prince, and the prince is subject for the king. So he is saying, do not go. I'll make you a minister. Minister? Minister of what? The prince asked. The king said, minister of justice. Okay, now ஒரு நீதி அமைச்சராக்குறேன் அப்படின்னு அந்த king சொல்றாரு. But there is nobody here to judge. Okay, no one is here. So யாரை நான் இங்கே ஜட்ஜ் பண்ண அப்படின்னு the king சொல்றாரு. Then prince சொல்றாரு. So now the king says, we do not know that. நமக்கு அது தெரியாது, இங்கே யாருமே இல்லை அப்படின்னு நம்ம சொல்ல முடியாது. I have not yet made a complete tour of my kingdom. I am very old. There is no room here for a carriage and it tries me to walk. So now the king says, இது வரைக்கும் எனக்கு வயசாயிடுச்சு, இது வரைக்கும் ஒரு கம்ப்ளீட் டூர் இந்த அஸ்ட்ராய்டை நான் எடுத்ததே இல்லை. ஸோ என்கிட்ட ஒரு ஹியர் ஃபார் அ கேரேஜ், தட் மீன்ஸ் வாகனம், ஏதாவது ஒரு கார், ஐ டோன்ட் ஹாவ் எனி திங் ஹியர். ஸோ இஃப் ஐ வாக், ஐ எம் வெரி ஓல்ட், ஐ வில் கெட் டயர்ட். ஸோ ஐ cannot say that nobody is here in this planet. Him to death, thus his life will depend on your justice. Okay, ஸோ நீ அந்த ரேட்டை ஜட்ஜ் பண்ணலாம். உனக்கு எப்போல்லாம் அவனை பனிஷ் பண்ணணும், அவனை டெத் பனிஷ்மெண்ட் கொடுக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறியோ அப்போல்லாம் நீ கொடுக்கலாம். அவனோட லைஃப்பை நான் உன் கையில் கொடுக்குறேன் அப்படின்னு இந்த கிங் சொல்கிறாரு. பட் யூ வில் pardon him on each occasions, okay, for he must be treated thriftily. You can forgive him on each occasions. ஒவ்வொரு தடவையும் நீ அவனை மன்னிச்சு விட்டுறலாம். பிகாஸ் he must be treated thriftily, that means carefully. Why we want to treat him carefully? Because he is the only one we have. Okay, and on to page 16, page number 16. I, replied the little prince, do not like to condemn anyone to death, and now I think I'll go on my way. Okay, now the prince replied, no, I don't like to punish anyone. Condemn means punish. Okay, எனக்கு யாரையும் பனிஷ் பண்ண பிடிக்காது. I don't like to condemn anyone. I'm going on my way. Okay, நான் என்னோட வழியில் நான் போக போகிறேன். No, said the king. But the little prince, having now completed his preparations for departure, he had no wish to grieve the old monarch. Okay, but the prince doesn't like to make sad of the king. Okay, he doesn't like to make sad the king, but what to do, he wants to leave. If your majesty wishes to be promptly obeyed, he said, the prince saying, he should be able to give me reasonable order. He should be able, for example, to order me to be gone by the end of 1 minute. It seems to me that conditions are favorable. Okay, now the prince saying, okay, ஒருவேளை எப்போவாச்சும் ஒரு கடைசி நேரத்தில் இந்த பிளானட்டை விட்டு நீ போ அப்படின்னு நீங்கள் எனக்கு ஆர்டர் கொடுத்துட்டா, அண்ட் ஆல்வேஸ் யூ கிளைம் தட் யுவர் ஆர்டர்ஸ் ஆர் ரீசனபிள். ஸோ வென் யூ சே ஐ ஹாவ் டு move from this planet. As the king made no answer for this, the king has no answer. The little prince hesitated a moment, that means paused a moment, then with a sigh, ஒரு பெருமூச்சு விட்டுட்டு he took his leave. He was just moving out. I made you my ambassador. Ambassador means அரசு தூதர். Okay, the king called out hastily. He had a magnificent air of authority. Okay, with a loud voice, with a great voice and with a great power, the king is shouting. Okay, I'll made you my ambassador. நான் உன்னை என்னோட அரசு தூதர் ஆக்குறேன் அப்படின்னு சத்தமாக கூப்பிடுறாரு. But what's the prince said? The grown-ups are very strange. Okay, it is a children's use. The children use this language, grown-ups. Okay, வளர்ந்தவங்கெல்லாம் விசித்திரமானவங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு The prince continued on his journey. The prince was moving from the asteroid 325 and he was just moving to next asteroid 326. Okay, thank you children. We have finished our first lesson. Now all of you open your homework note to check the homework's answers. Okay, here you can check your answers. All of you take page number 17. If you have written the wrong answer, just rub and write the correct answers. First one, the king felt that the boy was breaking etiquette by yawning in his presence. Etiquette means the rules of correct behavior. Next, when the king ordered the little prince to yawn on command, he was abashed, he was embarrassed. The king claimed that the stars obeyed him as he did not allow insubordination, that means disobedience. The king wanted the little prince to treat the rat thriftily, carefully, because he was the only subject he had. All of you write the correct answer. Let's move on. Tick 2 words that the best describe the following. The little prince, he is curious and respectful. Next, the king, he was honest and fair. He was a very kind man. Okay, now all of you take your English classwork note and we are going to write the question and answers. Reference to context. Okay, in page number 17, there the questions are there. You can write the answers in the book also. Later on you can copy it in your classwork note. So children, in order to save time, all of you take page number 17 and the reference to context, the question number 3 and 4. You can write the answer and the answers are there on the screen. Write the answers, write in the book. Later on you can copy it and write it on the classwork note. He found himself in the neighborhood of the asteroids 325, 326, 327, 328, 329 and 30. So who is he in this sentence? He found himself. He means in the sentence is the little prince. Why did he decide to visit the asteroids? He decides to visit the asteroids in order to add to his knowledge. Next, what word did the king use to refer him? The king called the little prince his subject. Next, then my son said, the little prince reminded him, for he never forgot a question once he had asked it. What favor had the little prince asked the king for before this? The little prince had requested that the king to order the sun to set. Why had he asked for this favor? The little prince had asked for this because he had felt sad about leaving his own planet. What reason did the king give for not granting it? The king said that it would be unreasonable for him to order the sun to set until the conditions are favorable. Children, hope you are writing. Copy the answers. Write neatly. So let's move on to your class work. Write fast. Those who finished, open your classwork note. Have you studied the Tamil words, synonyms and antonyms? You have to study every day all the classworks. Let's answer the following: first question, second question, third question, and the fourth paragraph question. Okay, children, take your classwork note and write fast. Write down all the question and answers. Write neatly. I'll give you time. What do you know about asteroids? Asteroids are small bodies that orbit the sun, but they are different from the moons of the planet. They are irregularly shaped, just like the rocks, and are made of carbon, stone, and metal. Why was the little prince surprised by the king's greeting? The little prince was surprised by the king's greeting because he did not expect the king to recognize him. He did not know how the world is simplified for kings. To them, all men are subjects. What was the role of the rat on the asteroid? The role of the old rat, was to serve as the king's subject and make noises at night. Write a summary of the lesson. The little prince visits the king. The little prince visits the series of asteroids in order to gain knowledge. At first, he visits an asteroid inhabited by a king. The king was delighted to have a subject to rule at last. The king claims to rule over everything. His rule is both absolute and universal. The little prince asks the king to order the sun to set, since he is sad about leaving his own little planet. The king, however, says that it would be unreasonable for him to order the sun to set until the conditions are favorable. The little prince got bored and decides to move on to another planet. The king tries his best to make him stay, first making the little prince a minister of justice. The little prince objects that there is no one on the planet to judge and gets ready to leave. At the final moment, as the prince departs, the king calls out that he has made the little prince his ambassador. Children, write neatly. It will take time to write. So write it. You can pause and write. So I hope in your classwork there will be the new words, synonyms, antonyms, and the classworks, and you have to write the reference to context also. You should write everything on the classwork note. Once when you come to the school, we'll check your classworks. So children, maintain your classwork neat and clean. Don't keep it incomplete. All of you should study this Paragraph question. It is very important that everyone should study. First question, what do you know about asteroids? And the next one, why was the little prince surprised by the king's greeting? What was the role of the rat on the asteroids? And the last, write a summary of the lesson, the little prince visits the king. Okay, thank you children. Now we'll look into a homework. Study all the questions and answer and write the answers for the question below. This one you have to write it in your homework note. What do you know about the asteroids? Write a summary of the lesson, the little prince visits the king. All of you should write these answers in your homework note. Got it? Take a homework note and write the answers. Write the homework and thank you children. We'll meet with next lesson in next video. Thank you.